Hello and welcome to Gus McDoll Strategy and Tactics, and thank you to our subscribers. I'm Nick McDoll. Today we're continuing the Allied Grand Campaign in Close Combat A Bridge Too Far, a game based on the Battle of Arnhem, Operation Marketgarden. In this series we use the missions in the Allied Grand Campaign to illustrate one or more aspects of World War II infantry tactics at the company level and below. Each episode we conduct basic mission analysis, develop and analyse possible courses of action, then decide and execute the plan in real time, followed by lessons learned. Please remember to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And if you want to buy me a coffee, the links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. In this episode we're in the Eindhoven sector, the Zon area of operations. Our objective is to secure Zon South. It is day 4 of Operation Marketgarden, 0600 hours on 20 September 1944. Zon South. Expect a German counterattack here. Even armour is not out of the question. Do not allow a German force to become established here. Make good use of ditches and scattered buildings. Let's examine our forces. We start with the same mix of American infantry and British tanks that fought the last battle here. After the battle, they received orders to return to Eindhoven for the night. This morning, they are back. First, the American Airborne. Airborne BAR teams are the core of the American Airborne divisions. They use an automatic rifle, semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a carbine. Use them on the front line, but they should run or hide from tanks. Airborne rifle teams use semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a carbine. Use them on the front lines and to hold victory locations. They are useless against tanks. Ad hoc rifle teams are low-quality replacement teams. They use single-shot rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a submachine gun. Use them to free up higher quality teams for other duties. Now to the British tanks and support assets. The Sherman 76 is an upgunned M4A1 Sherman. The M4A3 has a 76mm main gun and two 30 caliber machine guns. Use it to destroy light and medium tanks, infantry and enemy strongholds. The Sherman is the most versatile tank in the Allied arsenal. The M4A1 has a 75mm main gun and two 30 caliber machine guns. Use it to destroy light and medium tanks, infantry and enemy strongholds. Vickers medium machine gun teams also include bolt-action rifles and hand grenades. Position these teams in multi-story buildings or locations with long lines of sight so they can suppress enemy infantry while your units manoeuvre. Battalion has sent forward more tanks. Like the Shermans, again it is a pair of tanks, this time 2 support tanks. The Achilles is a medium tank destroyer. It is open-topped and armed with a 3-inch anti-tank gun and a 50 caliber machine gun. Use it in an ambush role against German tanks. Achilles is the British name for the American M10. Finally, very unorthodox, but a British infantry Piat team is along for the ride. They were hanging round headquarters and heard I was planning an ambush, so they jumped on the back of an Achilles. Piat teams consist of an anti-tank bomb projector, a bolt-action rifle and hand grenades. Not as effective as the Panzerschreck, the Piat still gives you cheap anti-tank capabilities. The Piat's effective range is 8 to 80 metres. Next, let's look at the map and do some mission analysis. I will develop a plan and then execute it in the game. Our mission is to secure Zon South in order to allow 30 Corps to allow freedom of movement along the Eindhoven-Nijmegen main supply route. We have a half-strength infantry company from the US 101st Airborne consisting of 3 BAR and 2 rifle squads. We also have tanks assigned from 30 Corps, 2 medium tanks, a Sherman and Sherman 76, 2 support tanks, both Achilles, a Vickers heavy machine gun and a Piat team along for the ride. North is to the top of the map. This area consists of large open fields and long fields of fire, intersected with streams and hedges constraining movement and creating natural choke points and lines of resistance. And there is a canal to the south. I have marked 6 areas of interest. Number 1 is a wooden single-storey cottage named Holstra's Farm, adjacent to a crossroads and 2 bridges. This provides moderate cover and concealment, but is also an obvious target. The roads run north-south and east-west. Number 2 is a dirt track running north-south, with small bridges to adjoining fields. To the east of the track, behind the streams, are hedges that provide some concealment for my forces. Number 3 is an open field with the canal to the south. The crops provide concealment for infantry, but otherwise there are good fields of fire. The field joins adjacent fields over bridges to the north and west, both natural choke points and obvious places to target with anti-armour assets. Number 4 is a series of large fields to the southwest, again with the canal to the south. The open fields offer no tactical advantage, but the rows of crops provide concealment to infantry. The hedges would slow down infantry or tanks trying to cross. A tank or anti-tank gun to the far west could effectively prevent vehicle movement across the bridge and into this area. Number 5 is an area of open fields to the northwest, with a small cottage in the middle marked Van Zandt's farm. It is surrounded by hedges on 3 sides, limiting movement, with a small bridge to the adjacent field being a natural choke point for vehicle movement and an anti-armour ambush site. Finally, number 6 is an area of open fields directly to the front. The rows of crops offer concealment to infantry, but long lines of fire to armour. Bounded by hedges and canals on 3 sides, this is a natural fire sack. To the southwest, there is a little orchard by the stream, very picturesque, but also a possible concealed approach into the centre of my position. Key terrain on this map are the 4 bridges over the streams. I assess the enemy will seek to overrun my forces in order to counterattack Hell's Highway and interdict traffic on the Eindhoven-Nijmegen road. From the briefing, I'm expecting a mixed force of infantry and armour, possibly Panzergrenadier, and probably supported by Panther tanks. The enemy's most likely course of action is to split their forces across both fields. They do not have much room in which to deploy, so they would form a battle line, and seek to dominate their immediate front with tank, machine gun, mortar, and rifle fire. Once complete, the infantry would advance to the stream to provide observation and fire over the other side. Then the tanks would cross the bridge, move past the orchard, and dominate the rest of the position. The enemy's most dangerous course of action is similar to the first, but they would concentrate all their assets in one field, making for an enormous concentration of fire in a small space. Imagine what 2 Panthers or 2 Tigers supported with infantry with Panzerschrecks and Panzerfausts could achieve in a small space. Then, they would advance and overrun what is left of my position. My first course of action is to repeat the formula that worked yesterday. The Allies have a natural defensive line behind the hedges across the stream. I would use my Vickers to blunt the infantry attack and my tank destroyers to blunt the armoured attack. I would then use my tanks in an immediate counterattack. The advantage is that we already know from yesterday that this plan works. Or at least, it did against infantry. But yesterday's plan made the best of limited terrain. We have more terrain to play with now, and I want to make use of that terrain. If tanks show up, yesterday's plan may not be enough. My second course of action is to take full advantage of all the space I control and push my forces all the way forward, compress the Germans into a small target area and give them no space to deploy. I would place all 4 tanks in the northwestern field to achieve immediate fire superiority. The infantry would hang back at first behind the hedge, but once the enemy tanks were destroyed, they would assault forward under cover of tank gun and machine gun fire. I would secure the objective and could either ignore any forces to the south or attack them from a flank with my entire company and support assets. This plan certainly achieves concentration of fire, but there are several problems with this plan. First, it doesn't actually make the best use of terrain, or even good use of terrain. For example, the bridges form natural choke points, and the hedged streams natural barriers, but I'm not using them. Second, my tanks would not outflank the Germans and would be forced to fire into the frontal armour of any German tanks, the hardest place to score a kill. This would hand the Germans a significant advantage. Finally, this plan would place my tanks within range of handheld anti-tank weapons such as Panzerschrecks and Panzerfausts. A lucky hit could turn the battle against me quickly. My third course of action is to set an anti-tank ambush. The Achilles is a self-propelled anti-tank gun, not a tank, so I'll refer to anti-tank doctrine for this one. The majority of my forces would remain well back in similar positions to yesterday. This will draw the Germans forward across the open fields and through the choke points. I expect the German tanks to move through the choke point across the bridge and debouche or emerge from the area between the hedge and the orchard. This is the most likely tank approach and therefore the primary engagement area. I will sight the 2 Achilles tank destroyers under Western and Sharp to fire into the flanks of any vehicles emerging from here. First Platoon will provide the Achilles with early warning and flank security, with Corporal Neergaard's BAR squad in the hedge to the west and Sergeant Atchison's ad hoc rifle squad to the northwest. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Kyle will remain behind the hedge with the BAR squad as an infantry reserve ready to counterattack. From the wooden cottage, the Vickers will provide a base of fire against any infantry moving along the dirt road or through the hedges. And Bray's Sherman will remain concealed behind the wooden cottage as the armoured reserve, ready to counterattack. To guard against an attack on my left flank, 2nd Platoon under Staff Sergeant Odom would hide behind the hedges to the southeast. Webb's Sherman 76 would be able to deal with any vehicle moving across the bridge or any infantry coming through the hedge. This is the secondary engagement area. Finally, our guests in the Piat team. I decide to put them to good use in an ambush position at the base of a tree next to the bridge. From here, they can cover any tanks trying to cross the bridge from the northwest or the southwest. Hopefully, I will not have to use them. Guns should be sighted in depth, primarily to cover the most likely tank approaches. It will also be necessary to protect the fronts, flanks, and rear of those localities which, owing to the lie of the ground, are liable to neutralisation by tanks acting in support of an infantry attack. I will now move my troops into position and execute the plan in real time. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the various courses of action and if you have identified a viable alternative. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And so we begin. Okay, lots of tanks. Weston tries to target the Panthers. No joy, but he gets a line on the APC. Sharp also looks for targets, but nothing yet. This was a Sonderkraftfahrzeug 251. This is a variant 16 or Saxon. It is called the Flammpanzerwagen. If you think that sounds just like a flamethrower mounted on an APC, you'd be half right. It is actually 2 flamethrowers mounted on an APC, with a forward machine gun mount. Hit! It is destroyed. To the northwest is a mortar carrier. And crawling along the hedge is a Flammenwerfer and a reserve squad. This is starting to look like a pioneer company, engineers with heavy assault weapons. Sergeant Atchison's ad hoc rifle squad is taking mortar fire. Weston's Achilles reverses for a better shot.
Heavy fire.
One of the Panthers is attempting to cross the hedge, as is the second. I did not know they could do that. Neither Achilles has the shot. I order Braid to deploy to get a flanking shot. Atchison's men withdraw. They have done their job. As predicted, the Panther moves across the east bridge. Both Panthers stop just short of the engagement area. Sharp can't get a shot. Neither can Weston. Both Panthers presenting their flanks. I order Braid's Sherman out to take the shot.
Move completed. Move completed. Move completed.
He gets into position, but is slow getting off a shot. Both Panthers see him and traverse their turrets. Quick, pop smoke! Too late, the vehicle is hit and destroyed. Bray is lying wounded behind the cottage, 3 of his crew are dead in the burning Sherman, and the other makes off. The mortar carrier has moved within the firing arc of Weston's Achilles. A shot goes out but misses. The 50 cal hits and the Schützenpanzerwagen is destroyed. Another mortar is off to the southwest, firing at the area behind Holstra's farm. The battlefield goes quiet. I'm not going to repeat the mistake with Bray's Sherman, and the Panthers are not leaving the bridge.
In position.
Suddenly, the BAR squad opens fire. A Flammenwerfer.
Target neutralized.
A furious exchange of fire, and it is destroyed. But we took a casualty. Well, that explained the lull. The Germans were manoeuvring the Flammenwerfer forward to engage the Achilles, but they were bounced by the BAR, providing flank security. German infantry are moving through the orchard, but no one has the shot. The BAR squad takes casualties, so I order them to withdraw into the crops.
We're under heavy fire.
Get me out!
3 squads in the orchard. The Vickers opens up. As does Weston's Achilles. And Sharps. The Germans take casualties. Webb 76 identifies an MG42 in the field across the hedge and opens up. Both Panthers are on the move. The German infantry are being cut to pieces. The Panther fires a single round into Holstra's farm and wipes out the Vickers. The Panthers crawl forward towards the engagement area. Neither Achilles has the shot. Fire! Hit, but not destroyed.
Das Blut!
Western gets off a shot. The Panther gets a flanking shot and destroys Western's Achilles. The Sherman 76 races north to assist. Sharp fires another round. But is destroyed by the Panther to the north.
On your feet, soldier.
Great teamwork by the big cats. This is why tanks operate in pairs. But Webb in the 76 returns the compliment and knocks out the Panther to the north. German Schützen are sneaking across the field to the front. Casualties on both sides, and the BAR squad is eliminated. The Panther casually surveys the scene, but Webb cannot get the shot. He doesn't repeat Bray's mistake by moving into the open. Instead, he waits for the Panther to move.
We need to pull back! Unter Beschuss! Auf die Beine!
Patience, patience. Then he has the shot.
Target eliminated!
Yes, target eliminated. A flanking shot by Webb's Sherman 76, waiting in ambush. Time now to deal with the infantry and counterattack. Panzerschreck! It misses. Sergeant Burns' team spots it and opens fire. The Sherman spots it and returns fire.
Threat one.
Two Schützen and a reserve squad in the open.
Unter Beschuss! Herr Oberst!
Lieutenant Kyle decides now is the time to counterattack. His BAR crawl forward to retake the field.
Herr Oberst!
To the south, Staff Sergeant Odom's BAR squad joins in. The Germans in the open are under concentrated fire from a BAR squad, a rifle squad, and a Sherman tank. Their casualties mount. They fall back. To the north, Atchison's ad hoc rifle squad is probing west. The Germans are in full retreat. Second platoon moves forward to take the hedge line. Atchison's probe continues. Lieutenant Karl's squad contacts the Germans.
Hol mich hier raus! Lieutenant!
Kyle is seriously wounded.
Das Blut! Auf die Beine! Target eliminated!
Finally, the Schutzen surrender.
Das Blut!
The Germans are in full retreat. The battle ended because the Germans were routed from the map. The Allies gained control of the area and the operation is over. I made Allied progress of 80 against expected progress of 80 by the end of the day. The Eindhoven sector is now secure and 30 Corps is at the Nijmegen crossing. I suffered 20 KIA and lost 2 Achilles and a Sherman. The enemy suffered 34 KIA, 3 MIA, 2 Panthers and 2 Sonderkraftfahrzeuge. A Silver Star was awarded. Let's examine casualties on all sides. First, the British from 30 Corps. Gould from Webb's Sherman 76 knocked out 2 Panthers and 10 soldiers and is awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. Weston in the Achilles knocked out a Sonderkraftfahrzeuge but was killed. Moore knocked out another and survived. Such is war. Sharp was seriously wounded when his Achilles was destroyed, and the Vickers was knocked out. Next, the Americans from the 101st Airborne Division. Lieutenant Kyle is seriously wounded. Corporal Neergaard is killed and his entire squad wiped out. Otherwise, the American infantry largely survived. Then the Germans from the 107th Panzer Brigade, a Sturmgrenadier squad, MG42, 3 Schützen squads, 4 reserve squads, 2 Panthers. In the 1st Panther, Belka is awarded the Iron Cross 2nd Class and Niedermeyer is awarded a posthumous assault badge, both for knocking out the Sherman. The 2nd Panther knocked out both Achilles. Buchwald is awarded the Iron Cross 1st Class and Borgmann the War Merit Cross. Both APCs were knocked out, as was the Flammenwerfer squad. The Germans came at us with everything they had, and fought well, but it was not enough. So, what did we learn? First, the importance of flank security. This worked when the infantry spotted both APCs at the start, allowing them to be targeted by the Achilles. And, later, when the BAR interrupted the Flammenwerfer squad attempting to light up the Achilles. But it failed when the 2nd Panther counterattacked and caught both Achilles with flanking shots. Second, in my episode on British tank tactics, I mentioned that tanks never worked alone by choice. The same is true of the Germans. In this battle, the Panthers worked as a coordinated pair with devastating results. I used the terrain to draw the 1st Panther into the engagement area. The 1st Panther then drew in the attention of both Achilles, who were working well as a team. Meanwhile, the 2nd Panther manoeuvred for the shot and outflanked both Achilles. This was great work by the Germans. On reflection, I should have placed Bray's Sherman with Webb's. They could have worked as a pair and moved quickly along the canal to the south to get behind the Panthers. Third, the placement of the Achilles anti-tank guns on a flank and firing into the primary engagement area was doctrinally sound. You could see this when they devastated the German infantry moving through the orchard. Then they got off 4 shots against the 1st Panther in the engagement area, and 2 of those were hits. But the fire from their 3-inch guns was not fast enough, accurate enough, or heavy enough. Instead, the 2nd Panther caught both of them in the flanks. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate, and stay tuned for the next episode.